A raid at a local motel this morning. You are done! I would never do anything.
Negativity and a bad attitude is a disease. And to be honest with you, when you think negatively and you become a victim, it's the path of least resistance. It is the easiest thing to do. The hard thing is to wake up and take accountability for what's going on and say, I'm gonna apply a positive mindset. I'm gonna take advantage of everything that I have in my life. I am gonna make the best with what I got. Looking at buds, one of the main differences is that you talk about first, second, and third phase all the way through what buds is that guys would literally quit, get up, leave, and I never to this day understood why. And I think that they just gave themselves a way out, and or they were just already convinced that that's a possibility for them to begin with. But you know what the best part about buds is that even though my class went from 225 to 13 original guys, and that attrition, the best thing about buds is that you can look to your left and you can look to your right. And there's somebody standing right there, shoulder to shoulder with you, sucking it up and enduring all the pain and difficulty right there with you. And that was a refreshing feeling to be like, if he can handle it, I can handle it. If he's dealing with it, he's not feeling anything different than I am. So who am I to get up, right? Why am I different than him? And that kind of gives you confidence in the ability to say, this might suck, but we're gonna do it together. What you realize after being through so many experiences, that every action you take affects somebody else. And it has a ripple effect through your family, through your friends, through the world. And when you do enough stuff over time, you realize how impactful that you can be as a person. So how could I stop now with the abilities that I have? How could I give that up and stop a day when I know the impact that I can have?
What influences you?
It's kind of sappy, right? To make my family proud of me.
My future family, I want to give them just that much better of a life than what I had.
The people that I meet day to day that I may or may not see again. Everyone has a story, and I've always said, if I could have one wish granted, it'd be to know everyone's story in the world.
The brothers that I've lost along the way. The people that have given up everything, given their lives, that have gone before us in this country to fight for freedom.
Money. Money, girls, I guess. I don't know. I'm 26, so I'm pretty smooth sailing.
People that I'm surrounded with, I think that's why they normally say surround yourself with good people, people that have the same ambitions as you, because ultimately you're mainly influenced by them.
If you've never heard of Julie Golob, I'll make it simple. She's one of the best competitive shooters on the face of the earth. I could list out her championships and accomplishments, but I'll save you an hour and let you Google it on your own time. She's also the host of a great show for women getting into guns called Love at First Shot on NRATV. Seriously, get your girlfriends and wives to check it out and see if Julie can't help you convince them that all that ammo you're stockpiling is worth it after all. So, Federal has come out with a new line of ammo.
They have.
And I find the ammo particularly interesting. You want to talk to me about this little jewel here?
Absolutely. Traditional jacketed ammo is covered with copper.
Okay.
But Federal has come out with a total polymer jacket. And what that allows is less friction in the barrel as the bullet travels, making it cooler to shoot. When I am competing on a day like this or training, it gets so hot, and I actually have to bring 2 guns with me. I'll shoot one for a couple hundred rounds, and then they switch out to the others. This, I don't have to do that because the gun never gets so hot I can't handle it.
Gotcha. So we're ready.
Ready.
Stand by. .582.
Nice, under 6.
All right, so I guess it's my turn.
Nice. Nice. Hold it. And good. 712. Nice.
Still too slow.
No, it was great. What I love is that you're like really pausing on the steel to make sure you get the confirmed hit, and that is exactly what you're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
do.
trying to slow down, because what ends up happening with me, and anybody who watches my show knows this, I get into this habit of point shooting, which, when it's on, it's fast as hell.
Yes.
Problem is, it's not consistent.
No, it isn't. And it's very easy to do on steel that doesn't fall.
Yeah.
But once you have
Hit the small steel, you gotta
exactly.
hit the brakes a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But still, 712 is pretty good. 2 position, you got about, I don't know, 15 yards of movement.
I think I could do better. The very first time I shot skeet or clays, I never really know which is which. It was in 2012, and I used a Saiga 12 shotgun, and to put it frankly, I sucked. Fast forward to 2016, where I've shot countless guns, fired numerous rounds, and here I am shooting skeet or clay with a more fitting shotgun. And you guessed it, I still suck. I'm a little better than I was, but I'm still in that, damn bro, you suck range. However, I have a shameless apathy about sucking at an activity where skill and ability are overshadowed by the entertainment value. If I ever went speed dating and some racially ambiguous siren of a woman asked me what I like to do for fun, I'll likely say, shoot still and clay targets, knowing that my answer will likely put me in her, say no when he asks me for my number box. You honestly can't do anything more entertaining with a gun. Sure, you could blow stuff up and shoot full auto, but there are very few things as entertaining as the juvenile pleasure that comes from destroying the flying ambitions of an orange disc. That being said, you actually have to be better than suck to actually experience the joy of the destruction of a flying disc. I've never put any real energy in trying to become a better trap, skeet, or clay shooter. And I have to be honest, if I enjoy it this much when I barely hit anything, how much more fun will it be when I actually hit something? Before I got into guns and became pro-gun, so to speak, the things that really kept me afraid of guns in many ways was my ignorance being further perpetuated by the media and what I saw in the media. I knew nothing about guns. I didn't grow up around guns. So everything I knew about guns was through the media, through movies, through TV, through the news, and there was no real-world example to counter that perception, at least at that point. So for me, I grew up feeling like all the bad things I heard about that happened in the hood were people with guns. You gotta get rid of guns, it's the guns problem. But for me, being younger, not really, being kind of naive, not really knowing much, I took what they said, I'm like, oh, that may make sense to me. You know, do that, get rid of guns, you know, we're good. Not really kind of putting into perspective the realities of what that actually meant. But again, I was young, so my mind wasn't really going in that direction. So it wasn't something that I thought about above and beyond that immediate news clip or that immediate movie. Because after that, it was It wasn't even in my brain. To be honest with you, the very first time I shot a gun had nothing to do with the gun. Had nothing to do with the gun. The gun was the catalyst, but I was more projecting. Because during that time period, I was dealing with something personal. When my friend came to me and asked me to go shooting, whatever I was dealing with had breaking me down to a certain point where I felt like I was being controlled by all of my own fears. Like fear was controlling my life. And I didn't like that. And I'd reached a breaking point when I was like, I'm kind of over this. I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of being worried. So I think he just kind of caught me at the right time, because immediately when he asked me whether or not I wanted to go shoot, my mind said, no, guns are scary. But because I was in the place that I was in, I said, no, I don't want to be subject to another fear. Like, I'm tired of this. And I just remember squeezing the trigger and the gun going off. All of the fears, all of the anxiety, all of that stuff, gone after the first shot. It changed who I was as a person, because it changed the way that I approached and dealt with situations and problems and things in life. It basically taught me to look past the fear, to try to look past the fear. It's ARs-only for Stage 4. Shooter 1 begins with 1 hit each on 6 targets at 100 yards. Shooter then runs back to engage 10 targets twice each. Once Shooter 1 has completed the course, they must unload and clear the AR before handing it off to Shooter 2, who runs the same course in reverse. All cardboard targets have to be shot from a standing position, but the 100-yard targets is Shooter's choice.
Shooter, nod when ready. Stand by.
Stand by. Hit! 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 Hit!
That malfunction drill made you look like a badass.
So there's a whole new Corinne fan following back here because the way she dealt with those malfunctions, holy shit.
If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have, let's say, an eclectic taste in music. On any given day, I'm listening to everything from Beethoven to Taylor Swift. But most of all, I love my trap music. But I'm conflicted about it. The way some of my favorite artists glamorize gang life and violence has no effect on me, but for young, impressionable kids in rough environments, the music adds fuel to the fire. I couldn't think of anyone better to discuss this with than my good friend Chris Strong, a former recording artist and champion of the Black community.
What you listening to lately?
A lot of Future.
Come on, man.
A lot of Future. Yeah.
You trolling me?
No, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. There's sheer ignorance in the vast majority of his music.
Straight up.
And I'm completely cognizant of it. Like, it's not even kind of like, really?
Yeah, you're aware.
Like, there's a consciousness about it that I have. And, what's funny about it is I actually, in a lot of ways, there's a little voice inside of me, too, that struggles with this sometimes.
Straight up.
Right? But considering what I do, and the many times that I bring up the issues that go on in the inner city, in the hood, it begs the question, am I contradicting myself? It's easy for me to make the argument.
In my view, right, I come from it. You know me. I did the music thing. Like, I chased it, right?
Yeah.
I got records that sound like Future,
Yeah.
right? But then I got records that sound like Malcolm. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up in Greenwood, Mississippi. The economy there is soybeans and cotton, all right? I came up there during the crack era, late 80s, all right? And I got there when crack got there, right? It wasn't a bustling town. Kentucky Fried Chicken manager was a great job, right? I saw people turn into zombies based on these drugs, right? And then at the same time, hip hop is exploding, right? We fresh off NWA, all right? We fresh off MC Hammer. Complete opposite ends of the spectrum,
totally.
right? And then you got Tribe Called Quest pushing the movement that became things like Outkast and, UGK and Ghetto Boys and things like that, right? So I saw reflected in hip hop during those days a balance that showed me the full spectrum of African American life. It showed me our rhythm and our vibe, and it gave me something to identify with. As a kid, you know what's trash and what's not, but you're a kid, you're influenced by what's going on around you or whatnot. The thing that kind of separated me out from the people around me is that I looked at hip hop as something I could do. It was something to be done more than something to be consumed.
Yeah.
And so I made a choice that I was gonna live through hip hop. I was gonna actually become a part of the culture rather than to just take what was being given to me by people around me. A lot of the people around me didn't.
Yeah.
And became satisfied consuming it.
A lot of times I do find myself thinking like, damn, like for a kid living in Southside Chicago, or not even South, I don't even have to go that far, just Southside Dallas.
Yeah.
That energy, what does that do for him? Is that causing him to be productive? Is that a positive influence on his life? Or is that something that's more destructive but influencing from the standpoint that it's empowering a very ignorant behavior?
Exactly. Because everything that he's consuming coming out of this music is something that he sees on a day-to-day basis. The music didn't happen first. It's a chicken and egg type of situation. Yeah. He's in an environment 5 blocks wide, probably never gets outside it, and he sees these things on a day-to-day basis. And so when he hears the music is just reinforcement. At what point do we draw a line and blame ourselves? I blamed myself.
Yeah.
I drew that line when I made a decision to move the ball forward individually for African-American males as a whole, all right? I assume you probably did some of that yourself because you and I don't leave here and go to the hood no more.
Yeah.
We don't,
I have no reason to.
All right, so I made that determination, and because of that, I no longer consume that type of music. I never exposed my son or my nieces or nephews to that type of content.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, we have a responsibility as enlightened young African-American males to get out here and
show a contrast.
And show a contrast, absolutely. We have to show that contrast. If we don't do it, then it doesn't get done and nobody knows that that's profitable, right? Otherwise, those who have interest in making profit will go and crop whatever profit
They can.
They can.
That
Out of
environment. Yeah. And I think a lot of the times, especially when we talk about the issue of guns in these places, they're a distraction. There's a bigger issue. People think I fight against and rail against gun control in the hood because I just want my guns. It's not about that. It's about the fact that when you focus on that, you get to ignore all the shit that actually matters.
There you go.
And then nothing ever gets fixed.
There you go. And we need to express that beautifully in our art, in our music, in our representation of ourselves as individuals collectively and otherwise. I want to do my part. I want, when I'm 75 years old, whether it's good, bad, better, or indifferent, like whatever the case, like I want to be able to say, I busted my ass for the part of my life where I was capable.
Yeah.
And I challenge people to think and live differently. I don't know how to say it any better than that.
Can't say it any better. Can't. All right, so I know I'm just gonna give the floor to you because I know for episode 7, I know you have quite a bit to say. Go ahead, lay it on me.
I don't have a lot to say. You already know I think that your taste in music is shit. I appreciate you admitting.
Which aspect of my taste in music?
You know what? That's a fair point. That's actually a fair point.
I think a lot of people forget that. I think a lot of people forget that.
I don't think they forget it. I think you don't remind us. I think you don't tell us. I think that you lead with your trap. You don't lead with the other stuff. Like, you lead with your future. Like, that's what you lead with.
Well, okay, in this particular sense, I live with future because of I don't have the kind of internal.
Like losing brain cells?
Huh?
Nothing.
I don't. There isn't an internal struggle with the majority of the other type of music that I listen to.
Sure.
So this is a very specific kind of deal. This is why I typically lead off of that because, like I said before, I'm very cognizant of the inherent trash nature of that particular form of music that I listen to.
Sure, but you accept
so what
it.
sort of what does that do for you as in terms of that struggle?
Right now, it simply exists. Because have I stopped listening to it? No.
So you're not really struggling with it?
No, I'm struggling with it in that I'm conscious of it.
So you still listen to it. You still blare it at ridiculously ignorant levels.
Absolutely.
But you feel a little twinge of remorse. You have a cognizant understanding that, if someone else were listening to this, or if someone even knew that you listen to this, they might get an idea or a perception about you that is not necessarily in keeping with you.
The perception isn't so much the problem as it is the effect that I think it may or may not have on younger individuals who are engaged in a certain activity that I think the music may feel.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Like what sort of message? Like pick a lyric.
No. I'm not gonna pick a lyric because it never made it.
Do you want me to pick a lyric?
I mean, you can pick a lyric, it's just gonna get bleeped out. But the thing about it is, inherently that is the issue that I'm having.
Struggle.
Because it's kind of like, I remember in high school, before a basketball game, I'd be listening to a certain type of music. People go to the gym, they listen to a certain type of music because it motivates them. It provides a certain energy. And so though a kid may already be set out to go out and do something like shoot at another person, I'm not saying the music makes them do it, but I'm pretty positive the energy from that music, the words in the music are fueling it even more.
Right.
So it begs the question in my mind, me not listening to it doesn't stop it.
But I think, again, it goes back to the fact that I think exposure is the key. Like, when you're able to see, like, the full spectrum of things, when you're able to see that all hip-hop, like, for every future, you have a comment. For every, designer, you got Talib Kweli. Like, you have, like, that full spectrum. You got Kanye West, and you got Jay-Z, and you have, like, all these different artists. And there's room for everyone, and you can pick a little and take a little. And I just think that, honestly, it's the same way with guns. Like, it's not one shoe fits all.
But can we really honestly compartmentalize all of those different styles of music and then compartmentalize or vary their effect? And I made this critique before. Actors will get up and use guns violently all day long, and they'll say it's just a movie, it's just art.
Right.
Well,
but then the same actors will get in an inspirational movie and say, we made this movie to motivate people, to change people's lives. So clearly, these movies have a real-world implication in the lives of people. right? Or maybe they think they do. And regardless of whether they do or not, the mindset, the mentality behind it, it's consistent whether they're doing something that's a positive role or something that's a negative role in a particular film. Which brings me back to me in that regard. It's kind of like, okay, if that's the case, then I am then aware that there is an effect. So therefore, why am I partaking in the destructive nature of that effect? Kind of like, okay, Collins, stop putting it out there that you listen to this music on Instagram because there are some people out there who are negatively influenced by it, and therefore you're setting a bad example. Well, I'm just like, well, damn, now I'm limiting my First Amendment right to talk about the music that I listen to because somebody else can't handle it. It still leaves us with the same answer. I'm not going to limit my right because somebody can't exercise that right responsibly.
We get back to this very difficult argument, and there's no one answer.
I agree.